I'm TJ Chifokoyo. I'm the HP campaign manager for Zimbabwe Rugby, really, as we go through these major campaigns that we're about to go into. I obviously have a lot that is, if I can call it, of responsibility to make sure that I deliver a congruent message here that everybody likes, because it reflects on the institution of learning that we went to, called Prince Edward, which is an amazing institution if we are not aware of it. So you will see in everything that I do that it's a reflection of that great school. Thank you. Sorry, I'll stay closer to this side so I can also just take a look at, thank you. So I can take a look at the slides. But I just wanted to first say, you know, we've got a solid plan here, a strategy from Paddy. He's shared that with us. We now understand a little bit more from the IMC, from a technical standpoint, what is required of us as we proceed in the next 18 months, really, that we're focusing on, and then beyond. And then Pete, I think, gave an incredible presentation of the pathway that we want to take as coaching. So what I'm going to talk about is a little bit more on the operational side. The operational expectations of us as Zimbabwe Rugby, of all of us in this room, but as it steers and goes towards this high performance, as we build towards the Sables being, you know, reclaiming that spot again as our flagship team. We need to make sure that everybody is kind of aligned with that, because that's how programs work. And that's where we see the efficiency in good programs. Once you have alignment from top down, it makes it so much easier for everybody else to fit in there, to slot in, and from all perspectives, from finance, from operations, everything becomes so much easier when there's broad alignment. So I'll talk a little bit about that, but I want to start with what is here and now, and what has got us possibly to having this meeting today, is that we've got two major campaigns that are coming up. The first one is going to be in 7 months. And 7 months is not a long time if we've ever had to plan for anything. Even if you're planning for a baby, you find that 7 months goes by really quick. We've got to participate in the Nations Cup. Peter shared a little bit more about that. I mean, we're playing the cream of the crop in the world. You know, we've got to face Tonga. We've got to face USA and Canada in July. And when we do it again in November, we've got to face Samoa, we've got to face Chile, we've got to face Uruguay. There's nothing easy. And then when you go out of that, you're going into the Rugby World Cup, which just gets exponentially harder. You know, when was the last time that Zimbabwe played England, if ever? You know, when did we play Wales? 1990, what is it, Pete? 93? 98 we played, yeah, 98. I mean, we played curtain raisers, Pete and I, on the same day. We didn't even realize it, right? But when we were youngsters, when Wales played at police grounds. But this is kind of what we're building back towards. So our best part of us is not in the past, our best is in the future, and we are going to get there today. So, or at least this is going to be a good building block for us. I'm just going to take a look at my notes as we go through, but most of it is in my head, so don't worry. All right, so I've shared a little bit about this. This is the brutal truth about international competition. Currently, we don't have players that are contracted. That is to our detriment, right? We can have logistics fall apart. So when nobody knows what's supposed to be happening, everything is chaotic. I see managers in here, so I know you know what happens when you're having to sort out visas and operation and logistics. It can be a nightmare if things are not together. Medical support, nutrition, administration, all of that has to be aligned. We have to be right with that, because that is the preparation that will get us there. So that is world-class preparation will allow us to compete on a world-class platform. So I want to share a little bit now of how we've come to this juncture as far as our finances are concerned, and what the expectation is. So just to leave reasonable expectations for everybody. So we've kind of split into just 3 budgets, that these are what we need to get to, just to get to World Cup. On the far left, I've got as a bronze baseline. This is if we're just doing the bare minimum. We're going to spend somewhere between 1.2 to 1.5 million pounds over the next 18 months. That's astronomical. That's more than the 2 campaigns, Rugby Africa campaigns, 2024, 2025, combined. And that is just barely getting us there. Where we probably want to operate is out of the silver standard. The gold is obviously where is optimum. If we can get to gold, then we know we're operating and we're giving the coaches what they need. We're giving technical what it needs in order for us to have the best teams available to us at these competitions. The silver and the gold, why I personally believe in them and believe that this is what we need, is that it's all encompassing. So it covers women, it covers our age grade teams, and it ensures that they are adequately funded as well to build up, and there's a pipeline into everything that we do as we go into our national teams. So that's why where we want to operate is that side. And I can go back a little bit to what Paddy was talking about in terms of sponsorship and how we need to maximize on that, is that gets us into silver standard, it gets us into gold. So instead of us getting $10,000, we can get 250,000, but then that gets us in that area. Okay. Then as far as our player welfare contracting model, and I think this is going to be critical for all our rugby in this country. We identify the talent, the ones that need to be looked at and have to be supported. We must do that. And so I'll talk a little bit as well about the player database that we need to put in place that we've already started to build, but we're going to have to put that in place in order to capture as much of our rugby playing pool in the country, and then and for the coaches to be able to identify who do we need to pay special attention to and keep them on the track. I'm sure some of us here have even heard of like Operation Green Giant with Irish Rugby, where they started looking for tall kids who they could put as locks and big players. And they followed them from when they were 6, 7 years old and tracked them all the way until they're playing national team. And that's a similar focus that we have to have, since we've got the larger group here that takes care of all of those. We've got age grade representatives going all the way to seniors. And why this matters, ladies and gentlemen, is that it's important for us I see it almost as a moral obligation. We are the custodians of rugby in this nation. We need to make sure that our players are supported adequately. Peter and I were in London for World Rugby meetings, and there was a group called the International Rugby Players Association that had a short speech. But in it, they had just a little saying that, a little quote in their presentation that said, happy players make better players. If your rugby players are happy, you can push them to the maximum so that they perform on the field. Just try and coach a kid who's got a gripe, and then you know exactly what we're talking about. Someone who who's feeling like he's been ostracized by the system, you're going to have to work almost twice as hard to get him to do just the fundamentals. So we need to make sure that these players feel very comfortable in the system that they're in, know that they're well supported as we go forward. So I'll touch real quick on this, but Pete already had mentioned about it. So part of what we're looking to do is, and this is through some consultations with World Rugby. We've also had the privilege through Steph of speaking to Satanta Sports, who specialize in sports science, sports medicine. The importance of us having basically what we can call 3 pre-seasons, just intensive training for like 12-week periods. And that allows us to bridge the gap in their conditioning, the conditioning of our athletes. So how do we get our guys from January to the end of March to be ready to play against top tier teams. And that's what we've got to do. So January through March, we can build a foundation with that, and that needs to be very well resourced so that the coaches are able to do what they need to do. We go into a performance phase. You know, when we go to Nations Cup, we're performing. We've got 2 sessions of Nations Cup in July and in November. Those are all performance phases. That's again another preparation period after that July that also needs to be intense and well resourced, so that as we go into November, we're not skipping a beat. And then as we go into 2027, similar situation, high intensity goes into the World Cup. So that is the plan for us as the union and as administration, to support our coaches and the medical staff as well in executing on your duties. So with our Nations Cup 2026 preparation timeline, as I had mentioned a little bit, we're looking at, in the first quarter, just the foundation phase. So we're looking to finalize some contracts there with our players, so we can make sure that we're showing them that we are committed to them. We've already started a bit with our medical screenings. SNC program, Peter's introduced our new SNC on the ground in Zim, in Grant Mitchell. So that program needs to be running in the first quarter, and then all of our staff being aligned. So I'll share this with you as well, but you can always keep this as something that you can take a look at and see if we're keeping track. Because this is what's going to be important for us as administration, is that we want to be held accountable as well. This is something that we're taking full ownership of, and that's something that we can say that this is not happening, and why is it not happening. If you've done any management of teams, you know that your operational logistics is quite intense. So for us here, with us at the Sables level, we struggle with a couple of things, but we look for ways to overcome these, right? So coordinating, say for instance, 35 people to travel. In Uganda we traveled with 42. Different passports. Some guys need visas, others don't. Some need a yellow fever vaccination, others don't. So there's so much more that goes into it, but we can only do this effectively, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be really efficient with what we're doing. We can only do it if we know with plenty of time. So preparation is going to become critical. So do we know who needs what and by when? We also need to know who's available. It's critical. Otherwise, coaches cannot plan. So it's immensely important for all of us here to understand, do you have a player database? Do you know where your players are? Who are the players? Who's available for what and when? So we need to make sure that that becomes pretty standard across all our teams. Our training environments need to be very similar. We want to, and I have to stress, it's so important that we understand that the age grade teams are feeder teams into the Sables. It's important that there's alignment there, that a player who's coming from under 20s can show up at a Sables session and not have to be told what's going on. That's what's going to be critical. It's also critical that if someone comes from management from under 18s and fills a position at Sables, they're not having to learn anything new. So it's important that that broad alignment is there so that we can keep this thing moving. I think as was mentioned before, is that we know that the intellectual property that rests in Mr. Mrambiwa there. If he's gone, what do we do? So we need to make sure that whatever he has is downloaded into our system here, and anyone can pick up on it as if he's not around. Right. So as we go into a little bit into the player management framework, again, a lot of this is around the support of the players. The main crux for what we're trying to do is to make sure that we're holding them as our most valuable asset. Without the players, there's no rugby. So it doesn't matter what we figure out here. We need the players, and we need to make sure that they are well supported. So the physical performance of the players is critical, and as Pete had mentioned, the physicality is going to be important. So that means a lot of gym work has to happen, a lot of contact has to happen, and what are the protocols around recovery? So your medical staff becomes incredibly critical to any setup, because we need to know when is the return to play, and it's got to be fair. You cannot be squeezing a player to get back onto the field when he shouldn't be, or she shouldn't be. So we need to make sure that we've got protocols that are in place that allow us to do that. And obviously on the converse is that you don't want a player who's saying I can't, but you know that they're ready. So you say, get on the field, you're fine. Our medical welfare, we've also launched this year on the Sables side, so kind of as a pilot, but we want to see it expand into all of the other teams of insurance for the players, medical insurance. I've seen Harare Sports Club has done something similar as well, so which is, kudos to them. I actually believe that's really good. That's a great development. So how do we make sure that the players are covered so that that's the one thing that they're not worried about as well? So we need to make sure we've covered them for medical and welfare. Mental support, we're not doing enough, and that's something else that we need to do. Mental health is obviously something that's critical in this sport that is very demanding of that. So we just want to make sure that all aspects of player welfare are covered as best as we can. And then of course our administrative support with our contracts, efficient travel and logistics management, timely payment and things. So when we ask for budgets, please respond with those budgets in a timely manner. I know Godwin had also mentioned about a 14-day window. Deadlines are critical. If we can put those things in, then we are able to plan and prepare better. So I think coming down to it, we've got 5 core disciplines that we need to have across the board. So we need to have fiscal discipline. And I'm sure Latifa is here. She'll let us know for sure that fiscal discipline is something that we need to have. It is critical that everybody understands that. If $10,000 is supposed to be going to a certain thing, do not put 2 on the side. 10 goes there. If you are able to get it for 8, then it's 8. But it's not 8 and 2 or 8 and 2. It just has to be that way. We have to be that way, guys. Operational excellence, and that comes more so from our administrators, our medical staff as well. We need to ensure that, so my guys that I work with, we need to make sure that our logistics, our administration, our medical support, all of that is as it should be. It complements the work that has been done by the coaches and the staff. So we need to make sure that there's no one who's not available because of a mistake that we've made. We need to stay on top of things. Data-driven solutions, decisions, I think this is absolutely critical in today's world. There's statistics for days. Also just need to be able to take out the stuff that isn't pertinent to you, but the data is critical. If we do not use it to our advantage, we are going to stay exactly where we were, and yet we need to quickly develop. We have to compress our development over a 1.5-year period, which is very difficult, competing against guys who have taken decades to get to this stage. So our selection, the strategy, selection criteria, the strategies, so as Peter shared, resource allocation are all based on that. Then our uncompromising standards. So everything about us is Zimbabwe Rugby. It must be uniform. It must be. There must be an expectation. I think we all know it from the story of the All Blacks. You can tell the discipline and everything about their program is like that. It's a straight line. You cannot be a deviant. So there's no need for us to be 10 different things when we actually are trying to just show our identity. Who is Zimbabwe Rugby? Who are Zimbabwe Rugby? So this is what we need to do. And don't compromise on that standard. That's just it. I had to take off my jacket because I was made fun of. I compromised my standard. The other thing we're going to be really emphasizing on is our communication protocols, so that we ensure that there's clear communication around in all of our rugby. So what we don't want is a player reaching out directly to IMC. They'll say, whoa, where's this coming from, right? There's positions in place for a reason. A head coach can discuss matters with his players, discuss with his medical and his technical staff, and that's how that communication goes. From the head coach will talk to his team manager, or the administrators talk to the manager, finance talks to the team manager. But that's how the communication can be passed in just a proper, in a linear manner, so that we have a consistent message across, right? So I've just split it just from technical, your clear channels of communication, administrative, clear channels of communication, strategic, clear channels of communication. Our strategy comes from IMC. So we can't come up with our own strategy in our team at a team level that actually is supposed to be broader. So we have to just be cognizant of what is it that we're dealing with right now, and who is the top, who's the head when we're in that space. So as we go into this new era, these are some of our issues these are the harsh realities of it. Our financial instability does us more harm than good, right? We're not sure where the money is coming from. We're always scrambling, just as all our teams. I don't know if there's a team really that says we're good financially, don't worry about us. Everybody has that financial instability. So as Paddy had alluded to a little bit earlier, we just need to make sure that we're able to secure that upfront funding. So give us the opportunity to go and seek the funds, so we're not going as all splintered. 5 different teams going to speak to the same sponsor, all with different requirements. Okay? We don't do ourselves any justice that way. So we need to make sure that is ring-fenced well. Player attrition is just something that's going to happen. We're going to lose players. Some players are not available. We struggle a lot with player releases at national team level. So players playing in France and Europe, the team might squeeze just until the last possible minute. So for the July window, they'll release a player on June 30th. That means that player is not available for any of the camps and has to come to a tournament and learn a system while we're there. So that doesn't impact us well, right? So that's something that we need to make sure that we are working to fix, and that's part of the coach's strategy as well, in being able to communicate with those players that are outside, so that they're well aware of what's going on. And then the last thing obviously is kind of logistical failure, which from an administrative standpoint, we really don't want any of that. There's no need for logistical failure, so advanced planning is what gets us there. We just need to make sure we know what is needed up front. There are lots of resources that are available to us in terms of participation, the way that we've done things in prior years, just in terms of planning, so you don't have to start afresh every single time. So what can you expect from us in the immediate? And so in this first quarter, we can almost, we're already working on this, full financial audits at the union. And then we also want to take a look at the contracts with the players. I think most of what is in the immediate we've done, just securing control of bank accounts, establishing the IMC communication lines, and then we've got to work on our fixture list. The more time we have to plan, the better we can execute on those things. So what we don't want to have is come 2026 and March, and the team says, hey, we would like to participate in this tournament in May. That's a tough one. Where do the resources come from? Who's planning it? Where have we got, where has this even come from? So if you know you want to participate in the tournament next May, we need to know it in 2025 and not in 2026. And then over the next, I guess after the holidays, I don't think much will be happening, but over the next 30 days, we're going to have an opportunity, obviously, to finalize our Nations Cup budget. All our key technical stuff, I think Godwin has spoken of some, and I've just mentioned Grant Mitchell joining the rugby setup as well for SNC. So these key technical support staff will also be known to all, so that we can start to develop our programs that will take us into the future. We'll be updating that player availability database, so that's going to be critical that all of us here are engaged in that. It will be just one system. All of us, your point of contacts will have logins, so you can just add that information in there so that we can monitor our players. And then we're going to engage sponsors. We're going to go after that aggressively because we have to. You saw the numbers that we have to go after, so it's impractical for us to wait for June, July to start looking for sponsors for Nations Cup. So we have to start doing that in the immediate. And then over the next 2 months, you will see the activity. High performance camps, our Rugby World Cup roadmap will become more clear to everybody, so we'll be sharing that as we get it. And then operationalize our new governance policies as well. So what is our role? What's your role in this structure? And so if you're a coach, you're a support staff, you're a stakeholder in Zimbabwe Rugby, this is where you can find yourself. Coaches, we want to drive that high performance program. There's just no way that we can do things that we were doing before and expect a different result. It's impossible, and it's impractical to think of it in that way. We can enforce the team standards, executing on game strategy, and you mentor and you develop your talent if you're a coach. Lots of communication as well with Pete and that staff. The support staff, you know what your role will be, you handle that role, and you take ownership of it, every aspect of it. So what it does, it will enable our players' excellence.